The only pants that I brought are 2 kilts. So.
Okay.
It's nice.
That'll be fine.
Yeah.
I hope the weather's good for you.
Yeah, it would be nice.
At that time, you won't care.
No.
Like Scrooge McDuck tell everyone to curse your kilts.
That's something that Scrooge McDuck said.
It's sad that you don't know that, Jeremy, but yes. Yes, it is. Just like Over the Edge, 1979, a group of bored teenagers rebels against the authority in the community of New Granada after the death of one of their own. Filmed in Colorado, Greeley, and Aurora, we have Over the Edge. And one of the reasons I picked this movie is this, according to lore, is one of Kurt Cobain's, I said before, I think, favorite film, but I did a little more reading, and one of his favorite films is actually Paris, Texas from '84. He noted this film and said, Over the Edge is pretty much, it just defined my personality. It was really cool, total anarchy.
Jesus Christ.
And unfortunately... on today, we are reviewing this film on Kurt Cobain's 30th death anniversary, which is terrible because I think definitely even looking back, Nirvana and Kurt Cobain are still beloved and definitely pioneers in rock and punk rock music today. And the other unfortunate thing is we watched this movie and...
That is unfortunate.
Yeah, and we're not gonna say it defined our personality or that it was really cool. I don't think that's going to be the vibe you're picking up on at any point in time here at all, which makes me really sad because I thought maybe part of this would be like a pertinent like moment where I'm like, I said before, I'm like, I can't believe I haven't seen this movie being such a Nirvana and Kurt Cobain fan myself. And now seeing it, I totally should have watched this movie 30 years ago. I think I would have gotten more out of it. I think all of us could agree that if you watched this 30 years ago, this would have edged up, even for you, Mike. Like you would have been like, this movie's a little more edgier 30 years ago. Not that you would have liked it.
Yeah, 30 years ago, this movie still would have sucked.
I think this movie would have been edgier. I think we would have looked at this and been like, damn, like a little more or at all than what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't really edgy.
Well, let's jump in with introductions.
Okay.
Hi, as always, we're a podcast about obscure, forgotten about, and often overlooked films. I am Paul, and next to me is Mike.
Hey.
And next to Mike is Jeremy.
Yo.
And next to Jeremy is Lamar.
30 years ago was 1994. Holy shit.
That is correct.
Wow.
And I was kind of an idiot in 1994, but I wasn't a big enough idiot to like
enough
this
for
movie.
that.
No.
It's not that edgy.
No.
Well, before we started recording, I was telling Mike, like, I could stop this podcast right now, take my iPhone, go out my front door into the night, and film a better movie than this.
Where are you going to get all the crop top t-shirts?
That's true.
Hey.
You said Chesterfield Mall's closed down?
I would film it in Chesterfield Mall.
Nice.
Yeah, there's nobody there right now.
Yeah, I the only argument I'll make on the behalf of this movie is I truly think if we saw this movie 30 years ago, we would have all been, again, not loving the film, but we would have thought, wow, this would have been a little crazy. The end of the film especially, a little more than what I'm seeing in my 30 years plus perspective gone by. And especially I think if we saw it closer to 1979, clearly, I think people would have been like, wow, teens rebelling, and this isn't Children of the Corn, even though everyone looks like Children of the Corn. I'm looking at you, Albino Storm, that one kid out there.
No one likes that kid.
That kid was like, yeah, he was on Cars, he was in the background, didn't have many lines, but I knew.
I was 1 year old in 1979, so I would have been shitting my pants as I was watching this film.
Yeah.
You probably would have loved it.
I was shitting myself
like Big
watching
Bada
this movie tonight.
Mike was. Or diapers.
Still am, yeah.
Over the edge diapers.
This movie pushed me over.
You're giving the diaper rating on this?
Well, the pre-coffee enema did not help Mike's situation. It was over the edge.
I'm drinking coffee beer. Does that
Coffee
count?
colonic.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're here, do you want to do anything like that, Jeremy? Coffee colonics?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like that coffee in them.
Maybe we could. So we don't have a beach, but maybe we could just go to like Home Depot, We get like 50-pound bags of sand, throw it all over Colfax, lay there, have some coffee colonics, and just let the headline.
Like, is the sand designed to like absorb the?
I want
coffee
to.
colonic?
No, I want a beach-like experience.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going for.
Yeah, and then just let the headlines write themselves. I mean, your trip will go national, friend.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Mike
Yeah,
will be there.
we're trending on,
Paladin Mike.
X.
Mike will not be there.
Paladin Mike's gonna get a little tarnished.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mike will be there in
God help us.
spirit.
Lamar, so are you amazed that 30 years has gone by? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. I mean,
Well, I told you a meme that I keep seeing, and it was, if Marty McFly of Back to the Future went Back to the Future and they remade the film now, it would be 1994. And I was like, oh my god.
just let that sink in for a second.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Wow. I gotta scratch my head.
I know these kids would be going back listening to the cool stylings of Nirvana, apparently, and that'd be great. But they would also have really shitty computers and no internet, or subpar internet, or AOL internet by the hour, and it'd be a terrible time.
Yeah.
Terrible too.
Thinking about 94. What were you doing back then?
I think we should go back to internet by the hour.
Yeah.
Stop all this foolishness.
Pay by the hour, yep.
In 94, I very well might have been seeing Jeremy doing something.
Hey, there you go. Should have been seeing this movie.
Yeah, probably getting into shenanigans.
Jeremy pulled me aside, and no shit, he goes, in 30 years, I'm going to have a coffee colonic with you on Colfax. Don't say a goddamn word.
Just remembered it today. There you go.
And neither of you knew what Colfax
Spoiled it.
was, but
Yeah.
it meant something.
It's happening, though. You
And
guys
it-
predicted it.
And it was the 90s, and he flicked me in the nuts on my jeans. And I lay there in the hallway. he's like, take that, brah.
That was a thing.
Then we all high-fived at lunch.
Hey,
Actually, I have a loop before this movie starts to bring us back to Lamar and Jeremy, a connection. And I think we maybe mentioned this offline, but
Did we cross streams at some point?
well, oh yeah,
That's sick.
I'm crossing them right now.
Yeah.
It's over the edge. My brother had a CD of prank phone calls called Tube Bar, and it was what Bart Simpson based all of his pranks to Mo Sizlak and The Simpsons on. Like, so listeners, like, someone would call and be like, hello, like a gruff bartender's like, Al there, last name Kaholic. I'm looking for an alcoholic. Like, aha. And then it clearly gets way worse than this. And there's a lot of death threats. Well, Jeremy and I were listening to this in the 8th grade on my Walkman cassette. Like, and I think it was like we're splitting headphones. And it was the old school. It was the first ever earbuds or pods I got. And they were from the Game Boy. And it was like one was blue and one was red to indicate left and right. And I think that's how we split it and listened to it, Jeremy. Well, many years later, Lamar and I are listening to this on the actual CD this time, just endlessly. Yeah. For quite some time. I'm I'm glad my 8th grade personality meshed now with my later, like, mid-20s personality. I listened to it today, so.
I thank you for introducing me to Tube Bar. I remember when we were listening to it for the first time, you introduced it to me, and we were listening to it in my car. I was driving around. I swear I was laughing so hard, I think I almost drove off.
I was in the car once with you and Rami, and you had to actually pull over. You're like, I'm pulling over the car.
Oh, man. Oh, yes, I do remember that. It's hilarious for anyone who's out there.
Do you remember this, Jeremy?
It's so funny.
No.
You don't remember this prank, this tape or CD at all?
Oh, the taper. Yes, I do remember
yeah.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
That was like our Twitter, or not our Twitter, our TikTok back then, like listening to fucking like the Jerky Boys and whatnot, like pranks.
Yeah, because our school, the way it worked is you basically had to come, you would get there like 15 minutes before classes started, and they would like corral you into a cafeteria, and you would just sit there and wait.
Yeah.
So I'd sit next to Jeremy, and we would just listen to this for 15 minutes, and then go to class.
Good way to
and
pass the time.
We could have been fucking setting fire to the place, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like these rambunctious kids in this movie.
Yeah, this movie's so off the hook. It's over. Mike, would you say this movie's over the edge?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The edge was gone a while ago.
As noted early on, 1979, Over the Edge. This movie is filmed in Colorado. Aurora, Greeley.
Downwind of Rocky Flats, apparently, because everyone's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, and this movie opens up with this weird information that we're in New Granada, and the moniker is Tomorrow's City Today. And then we learn that in 1978, like 110,000, homes were being developed, and there's a lot of vandalism, and this movie is in part based off of some reality that happened in somewhere in America in the 70s. It's very vague. And these youngsters just run amok. Yeah, you heard me say it. They run amok, those youngsters.
Smoking that reefer, man.
Get your Frisbee off my GD hard can. And that's where we're at. And that 1/4 of that population were kids 15 or younger. And like, I don't know why anyone's scared of that. I mean, if I was watching Children of the Corn, I'd be like, all right.
I think that's what they were trying to instill. Is like, you've seen Children of the Corn.
There were a lot of blonde children in this, and I don't feel that's representing Colorado. I just don't see that.
I don't see that either.
Yeah.
But,
I don't walk down the street and I'm like, I am walking amongst children of the corn.
I don't know.
Yeah, but you weren't walking down the streets of Colorado back in 1979. Maybe it was. Maybe it was all blonde kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
You know?
Where'd they go?
Who fucking knows?
Into the mountains again?
Yeah. In that little fact-finding intro, they specify that the city planners of this planned community ignored the fact that 1/4 of the population were teenagers.
Yeah, 15 and younger.
Because who gives a... Like, what were they supposed to fucking do?
Exactly.
Put it in that skating rink?
They were warned.
They had a fucking rec center. I don't even understand what the point of this movie is.
Mike, come on.
Jeremy, if I didn't tell you when I signed and bought my house, this makes me think of this. When my wife and I bought our first house, when we're signing all the forms, as Mike's like, who would look into these things? That house was over 100 years old, and my last question before I signed everything, I looked at everyone, I was like, so, now I'm about to sign it. Is this house haunted? What's going on here? And the owner, the previous owner was there, and he's like, oh my God, nothing like that. But the 90-year-old woman who's been doing this for 50 plus years, the main person who does that last signature, she looked at me and gave me the nod. She's like, and I was like, she knows. She wants that question. She wants answers.
While there have been several grisly murders, their spirits have moved on.
Yeah. I'm glad I got some confirmation there. But yeah, I did not ask if in the neighborhood 15-year-olds were running amok.
Yeah.
Yeah, do they have a rec center nearby?
Are there any, was this built on an Indian burial ground? No. Tell me about the 15-year-olds.
I like your priorities, though.
I mean, we're not far from a Jewish cemetery. Does that count?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay. Isn't that what the Botanic Gardens is built on top of?
That's just straight. That's many cemeteries.
Yeah.
The whole thing was a cemetery.
Yeah.
All the cemetery.
They're mixing
Dead
them
people
in.
like
Yeah.
plants.
Yeah.
They're keeping it rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to.
I mean, but New Granada. I mean, you think, Jeremy, you, the kids, the wife, want to move to New Granada? You can
No,
be
this
neighbors.
place looks fucking boring as shit. I would
Yeah.
have fucking vandalized all sorts of things too.
You know what I noticed? Why did people have trash cans in their yard? Stone, they were made for public parks.
With smiley faces on them.
But yeah, they were in people's yards. I wouldn't have liked that.
No,
No.
that sucks.
It's a nice place.
Some of those trash cans were oddly placed to where I think future parks were going to go.
Maybe.
But if you're looking at the construction of this whole city, it is bonkers. It's got a little suburb with the trash cans in the front yard, a school, and some condos in development, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. That's all you need.
I have not seen anything else in
Right.
there.
And a rec center and a weird
the rec
airport
center.
hangar.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I also
With an abandoned plane out front.
the school in Greeley. I told Mike I want to buy it and live in it. It looks like it's a biodome. There's all these bubble windows.
That's your favorite Pauly Shore movie, isn't it?
I hate that movie, as you know, so much.
That's really weird for me.
But when's the last? We've talked about this, I know, on the air. But when's the last time you've seen Biodome?
A couple years ago.
It's so bad. It's just so unwatchable.
I don't think it's unwatchable. I thought this movie was unwatchable.
But Biodome is watchable for you.
Yeah. I would watch Biodome 3 times to never have to watch this movie.
Wow.
That's insanity.
No, it's not.
Dude, I'm going to put this in a sound clip and remind you that you said this.
That's
when
fine.
you're on.
I'll watch Biodome tonight. We can watch Biodome right after we're done
Hey,
recording.
let's not get sidetracked into a Biodome watching.
Yeah. No, let's talk about this fucking piece of shit movie some
You're going to be
more.
alone on Biodome.
I mean, I don't like Biodome, but I don't think it's unwatchable.
I
I think it's better than this movie.
Well,
It's my dome.
It is. I guarantee.
Yeah.
Listeners, Paul's wrong. This is the worst movie we've ever done.
oh, I don't think this movie is good, but like Biodome is like honestly like top 5 worst films.
No, it's,
Mike,
you're
how
wrong.
can you put this over that Dead Man on Campus?
This is worse than
Are you
Dead.
serious?
This is worse than
Yeah.
Dead Man's Curve.
Yeah.
I was
I will admit
angrier about
Wow.
Dead Man's Curve, but this is a worse movie.
Damn, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
You're digging
Wow.
it. Wow.
What's up? What's up with the deep-seated hate for this movie?
So when you told me that you wanted to do this, my first thought was like, this movie's going to suck. I'm going to side with the parents. And I was wrong. Surprisingly, I think I was on team police officer in this movie.
Did your opinion change as the movie was going on?
No.
right from the bat, you knew who you hated and you
Absolutely.
targeted.
Like,
All right.
I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not a big Nirvana fan. I don't really like Kurt Cobain.
That's fair.
I think he's a whiny little wiener. His music didn't really speak to me. Like, I liked some of Nirvana's songs, don't get me wrong, but like the messaging, it's just, I wasn't that kid. I didn't have that childhood. And I knew this was just going to be a bunch of whiny bitch kids doing dumb shit. And it is. I know I sound like a cranky old man, but oh my God.
You do.
I do. This movie is terrible. Everyone in it sucks. I wish more of these children had died.
Well, the weird thing is, Mike, I feel this doesn't really represent Kurt Cobain or Nirvana at all. So, like, actually reading the quote where he's like, oh, it was a lot of fun, and that was just, like, it. I was like, that kind of makes sense. He probably saw it in, like, 1980, like, 2 or 3. He was super young at the time, too, and then, like...
Yeah, how old would Kurt Cobain be if he was alive? Like 57?
Yeah, I'd be, like, just shy of 60.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so,
Right.
I mean, again, I am not advertising that someone sees this film, but I think if you saw it closer
you should
to,
never see this.
like, to the late 70s, I think this would be more, like, shocking. Like, kids uprising against their parents like this, just film-wise, and it's not a horror film, and I think that would be the real shock. And going into it, the only thing I really knew was the music, like...
The music was fucking great.
Yeah, Cheap Trick is half the soundtrack. You get Jimi Hendrix. You get some other stuff that I'll kind of note throughout. Yeah, I mean, it's a total kind of banging soundtrack throughout. I don't know. The movie is... I understand why Mike doesn't like this. I don't think Mike likes a lot of independent films. So
That's not true.
well, I think like...
I just like movies that are good and fun and not awful.
Well, like a lot of independent films, like around like the 90s or like maybe the late 80s would kind of have this thread, whereas more like not a lot's going to happen, but we're just going to like talk about stuff. I will say this, like this is not my cup of tea. This movie tries to do that, where I do feel other movies I can think of in the 80s and 90s like succeeds. But this movie's kind of like we're walking around, we're not doing a lot of stuff. Mike, have you ever seen the movie Kids?
Yeah.
Did you like that movie?
No, but for different reasons.
Because I think that movie is kind of similar to this. I'm not even saying like I like either of those films.
I don't like movies where idiot kids are portrayed as like some kind of rebellious hero.
I think that would mean a lot though when certain kids saw this when they were kids.
I mean, I saw Kids when it came out.
I didn't really like Kids when it came out.
No, it sucked. It's
Well, that's why I'm likening it to this. I'm like, I think there's a certain independent like set of films that are kind of like more airy, where it's like things are happening, but they're not really happening, but that's the story. And there's like like a lot of 90s and 80s indie films that do this. This movie is similar for me in a lot of ways, and this movie does not succeed for me.
No. I mean, I like independent movies. I don't need constant like explosions and plot points. But if you're going to have kind of like an airy atmospheric movie, that what's happening should be interesting and not really annoying.
In that point, I think that this movie might be dated in a way, where in Paul's point, I think if you go back to 1982, 83, 84 and watch this movie, I think this, not really shock value, but it kind of, it hits a little harder and the movie feels a little more, you get the concept of it better than we did. Like, we understand what the movie's about and
I
for.
guess.
But
I
back
feel like
then,
you guys are apologizing for this movie pretty hard.
no, I think just back then it would influence someone younger more because it's closer to what was probably happening. There's kids just
That's what I'm saying, Lamar. I agree with that. It's just like we're looking at this in this 2024 perspective. 45 years after this movie is released, we're looking at it and we're like, some kids are mouthing off to parents, a kid gets killed, it's unfortunate. But like in 2024, I mean, this is like in all seriousness, even though we're a jovial podcast, we live in Colorado. We've had so many shootings in just Colorado alone. We're like, one person was shot and that person had a gun. Like, that seems very unfortunate, and I will note that plot point. But this is like daily. This is daily in America. In 1979, I think a story like this would be shocking. A kid was shot. A kid had a gun. He lived in a affluent suburban American neighborhood. This would be frontline news every which way, where now it's sad to say it's like it happens so often that people are like, oh, okay, like, where do you live? That's a shame.
No, I mean, that's kind of fair, I guess. Like, you know, when they show scenes from inside the little weird community center where all the kids hang out and do drugs and whatever. Like,
And that person seems really, the person running, it's like super okay with it.
yeah, she's fine.
Yeah,
But like,
she does
honestly,
not care.
go to the Chipotle by East High at lunchtime.
Right.
And like, it's worse than this.
That's what I mean. I think like if Mike is totally correct. Like,
Just people
but
bleeding out of their ass.
that's why I go back to this
Right.
defense. Like, I'm not trying to say like this movie's good, but yeah, it's just dated. Like, I don't have the proper perspective to really look at this movie because it's not gonna sell anyone or really shock anyone now.
Well-
but just in the early 80s, you might be like, wow, that would be crazy if that happened at a school in my neighborhood or something.
I mean, I guess. So let me pose this to the group. Who is the protagonist supposed to be?
Carl.
Why?
I have no idea.
Who is are the parents supposed to be the bad guys? Are the cops supposed to be the antagonists? Like, I don't understand the conflict. Like, at its core, I don't understand the core message of this movie.
Okay. Well, that's, I think, going to be a different thing I cannot answer. I think the plot point is,
Who am I supposed to root for here?
so in theory,
No one.
okay, so even though this movie came out beforehand, I'm going to relate it to the Goonies. So Carl, your protagonist, and Richie, who's Matt Dillion, other protagonist, they're the bad boys of the neighborhood. But things are getting sped up. Things are getting urbanized. And much like renovating the Goondocks, they just don't like it. And all these people are coming from out of town and they're like, we're going to put in a mall and we're going to do this. And these kids are like, I don't like what's going on. Why? I have no goddamn idea.
Why not?
So please don't think that like I am like backing or trying to root for anything. That is just at its core what's happening. So these kids are using that as a vehicle to bitch about everything at all points in time. And so they're also growing up. I think part of it's like, you know, I'm becoming a little teen angsty. Okay, I kind of get it. But why they're so pissed off about the developing companies and more about suburbia, I have no idea. And because of that, they're just assholes.
Yeah.
Doing weird stuff and stealing from houses and drinking, and parents seem overall okay with it.
They just want to feel some boobs, man.
Who didn't, I guess.
They try to convey that some of the adults are bad. They try to convey that the cop is bad. Like, he goes and there's a scene later on. We'll get into it later, I'm sure. But he's like checking on the kids, and he's like doing a patting them down,
Right.
and they're all like, "That's illegal. You can't do that." He's also doing other stuff like monitoring them really hard, and I think the kids just kind of like just resent him being there, and they think he has too much power, maybe. So they're just rebellious kids.
That's fair.
The
But
first time we see the cops, it's because the fucking kids have shot.
right. Like, the cop gets involved because someone fucking shot at him.
So let's open up. So these kids are on a above an overpass, and police officer Doberman is driving by, and a kid with a extremely high-powered BB gun shoots out his windshield. And he turns around and sees them, and they book it on their bicycles, and he gets in his car, turns around, and guns it for them. So yes,
Right.
They're on an overpass shooting a BB gun that shot out the windshield of a cop car.
Right. And we're supposed to empathize with these kids?
That was Claude, by the way.
That was Claude? Okay.
That was Claude and
Johnny.
I'm never going to
Yeah, I never
brothers,
thought about
people's
doing
names.
this as a youth.
No, no one
angsty,
did.
Rebellious.
Like,
I don't. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Like, when I was a teenager, we just, like, smoked cigarettes and dicked around and played music. Like, what the fuck, you guys?
we got better. I mean, we did this in the 90s.
I
and
guess, yeah.
Back then, they were just shooting at cops.
So what you're saying is, like, the worst generation of people now were the worst generation of teenagers.
70s kids.
Yeah, because, I mean, so these kids, this is 78, whatever. These kids were 15, so they were born, like, early to mid-60s. So these are, like, the youngest of the boomers.
Yeah.
The flower child.
Yeah, they're in
kids.
Gen X. This is the back end. Gen X goes to 79, so...
Yeah, so this was, like, the oldest of the Gen X and the youngest of the boomers.
Yeah.
And they were all apparently big fucking shitheels. And their parents were disaffected idiots, I guess.
I'm assuming that there's nothing else to do in this town because I have not seen any.
Dude, I grew up in a town of 4,000 people. Like, we didn't have anything to do either. I didn't fucking shoot at police officers.
Well, just remember. So at first, I'm kind of, I don't want to say I'm okay or I'm down. Like, you got factions of kids. So you've got Claude, who's doing this. No, it's Mark. Sorry, Claude is the blonde kid.
Is Mark the token Italian guy?
Yeah, Mark is the one who beats him up later. So Mark is the one who shoots him out, and Mark has his little crony, and they ride off. And then the cops blame Richie, Matt Dillion, and Carl. So Carl and Richie are just walking down the street, and the other kids are like, "Don't tell the cops, like you saw us, but the cops are coming hide." I side with Carl and Richie, like, to begin with. Like, the first 20 minutes, I get kind of where they're coming from. Like, you're the in-betweener. Like, you saw a bunch of, like, teens your age do some weird shit. You're not going to tell the cops. You didn't do it. Like, I agree with Jeremy. Like, I wasn't doing any of this, like, destruction, but I also wouldn't be like, it was those dudes over there or anything like that. Like, I would just keep to myself.
I would have knocked on him immediately.
Really?
Well, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. What did they do? They shot my windshield with a gun. Like, oh shit, those are the guys there.
Yeah. No, Jeremy, I would have told on them immediately.
There's like 50 kids in this neighborhood. Like, I don't want problems with the other kids at this point in time. Carl comes up with a story after they're arrested, or during
weak ass story.
Well, he's like, some kid like turned the corner, pushed me down. I didn't really see. I didn't see there was two of them. I just saw one.
I
So
lost
it's like-
my contact. Oh, I lost both of them.
That was weird. Yeah, that story sucks. But like later when he was like, I didn't really see the dude and I only saw one of them, I was like, all right, it's like vague enough. And to your guys' credit, like if Mike's on team police, Doberman takes Carl aside. He's like, listen, dude, your friend Richie's a piece of shit. Like, he's got a rap sheet. He's always in trouble. Like, he is here all the time.
Right.
You are not. Your dad seems nice. I know your family. Like, dude, just stay away from this kid.
Right. All reasonable things to
Right,
say.
because you don't seem to be a problem, and he doesn't seem to be like, don't go teen fun crazy. It's just like, don't blow up shit. Don't be a real criminal, I think is what he's saying.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Like and I think that's the vibe I'm picking up off Officer Doberman.
Yeah,
Like,
from the beginning, the bad guy of this film was like, hey, I don't appreciate being almost murdered. You seem like a good kid. Don't fuck your life up. Your friend Richie's a piece of shit. And this is the bad guy. This is the antagonist of the movie.
yes.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Good.
Kinda
Well,
weird.
I don't
well
disagree.
crafted.
I don't disagree with you. The sort of is,
But you're going to right now.
No, it's in addition, parents and maybe the system. I don't know. My disagreement is I agree that I don't know who the antagonist
Right.
is.
Like, this kid's he's decent. Like, his mother seems pretty chill. His dad is like kind of a dick, but I think
He's
all
a
dads were
Cadillac
bad.
salesman.
He's a Cadillac salesman. Yeah, he's like, I want to make
Lot of
money so this
scotch.
town doesn't suck anymore.
That guy had a drink in his hand in every single scene.
Yeah, because he lives in the fucking suburbs and it sucks.
It's New Granada.
I've had a drink in my hand every single podcast.
Are you living in New
That's
Granada?
I am in my head
With a
Yeah.
drink in his hand, he's
that it?
always living in New Granada.
Was that near Camp Granada?
It could be.
Same thing.
Yeah, okay.
Just one's a camp and the other one's just a big ass building
mother.
of nothing.
Yeah, well, the cops super not pleased about any of this. Lots of talks, lots of family.
Taking them in.
Carl's dad gets a call about this at work, super unhappy, and does a real like weird pivot. So he's a Cadillac salesman, and he walks out, and they're like, "Is everything okay?" Asks another salesman, and he says, I tell the wife, you got to pay the parking tickets. You can't just put them in the glove box. That's not how they get paid. I was like, man, you're a douche. Why did you say that?
Whenever I get into trouble, I like to pretend my wife's an idiot. That's the foundation.
Right.
You got to throw someone under the bus.
Right.
Yeah. Why not the wife?
At least we're all on the same page on that.
Yeah. Well, why couldn't you have said anything else? Like, my kid is sick. Like, you didn't have to explain the story, but like, why was that like the smoke and mirrors to get out of that situation?
Also, everyone in this town knows what everyone else is up to. They're going to find out eventually.
Yeah, I know.
They probably already know that.
There's probably a journalist there. Like, story at 9.
I would have been like, my kid's at the police station. They're saying it's cannibalism. And then just left.
That's fine.
I like that approach. You drop it big, and then it softens the blow as it goes along.
God.
Well, Carl's dad gets on the bandwagon. He's sick and tired. He picks up Carl, and he's like, this kid Richie, he's no good. You got to stay away from this kid Richie. Carl's already got a bad attitude about this. This, I think, is the most, I guess, empathetic I am throughout the movie. Like, and it's this: you're hanging around with kids, you don't have a lot of friends, but I don't like your friends because they're a bad influence, and I'd probably get pissed too. I wouldn't destroy things, but I guess this is the most empathetic I'm gonna get throughout this movie. Like, because then Carl's like really pissed off, and I get it. He's like, but that's my good friend, and his dad has more foresight and more experience, and I get it, and this is all part of the teenage angst rebellion cycle. So this makes a little sense to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, we're like early into the film, and this unravels super quickly, where at first I'm like, yeah, this seems a little dated. And, these rough and tumble kids are making friends with one another. They're up to reasonably no good things. I'm like, okay. And then we get like 30 minutes in the movie. I'm like, man, everyone's got to dial this back.
I did like that when Carl and his dad are driving, that scene, because it shows a contrasting scene of Richie and his mom driving.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a way different drive, where the whole reason why they were picking up is because they were suspecting, I think Richie had a knife on him.
Yeah. Too big of a knife.
Yeah, he tells his mom, and his mom's like, why'd they pick you up? And it's like, they picked up he's joking about it. He's like, oh, it's just a nail file. It was under 3 inches. And she's laughing about it, too. So Richie's always up to no good, and she doesn't care, and it's all just fun and games for them.
Yeah.
Oh, Richie.
Because his mother's a stupid fucking hippie.
Yeah, when they drive to the projects while Carl and his dad drive to the nice suburbs in their nice house.
Yeah, they go to their fucking mansion.
Yeah, and then we get a cutscene to the school. They're already making announcements, and they're highlighting, like, I don't know if these kids went to this school. It'd be a real shame if they did. But because of this, someone almost could have got killed, and you can't be doing this, and we need to figure out what's going on, and you teens are going crazy, and because of this, we're going to implement a curfew. And everyone is freaking out. No one really likes the curfew, but then they're shown all the kids are shown a documentary on vandalism, and this was one of my favorite parts of the movie.
The documentary was
It's a fantastic film.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even going to look up trivia. I assume that documentary was real. It was way too real to not be real. It's like, vandalism in you. Do you like clean streets? Your grandmother does. Now they're not clean. And your grandmother's sad. Yeah, it was it was super bizarre. But yeah, so that the kids don't really give a shit about that curfew. Then we get, as noted, more fun music. The Cars, Just What I Needed, is playing. And although there's a curfew, it's time to go down to the playground.
Yeah, it's party time.
Yeah, everyone hangs out at the playground. They have some
buying drugs,
pilfer drugs, booze.
Claude buys some.
One kid's just walking around with like a
hash.
half-drank bottle of vodka.
Yeah,
Claude's buying like acid.
Yeah. Claude's been doing a lot of drugs.
Then we get a switch up to Van Halen covering the Kinks. You Really Got Me.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming. But yeah, Claude has been doing massive amounts. Claude loves acid. Loves it.
He was doing acid during that film.
At school.
Claude is like a hummingbird to acid.
Well, he thought it was speed.
Yeah.
But
he took its speed for the test, but the test turned out to be the film, and
This kid's too stupid to even know what drugs he's
oh
taking.
boy,
Claude's not going to live very long,
no,
guys.
not at all.
You know, just
Well, I mean, here's another condemnation of our society. I mean, we're all looking at this movie again, and I know Mike's like, it's crappy, but I'm like, I still think this would have been shocking if you saw this in like 82 and you were like 12, 13, 14. You'd been like, oh my God, acid. And I was like, as Mike noted, like you go like blocks away and probably sky's the limit on
Right.
drugs.
I mean, all of this shit is now legal in Colorado.
right. Like that's a big part of it. Or it could just be like the night before you go on Craigslist and get like a buffet of drugs.
Yeah.
That's all you got. But yeah, they're hanging out at the playground. Apparently that's where they go. We come back to this later, this area, but Richie comes over. He's like, hey, bro, there's a party. This party, and they go to this party, and some dude's like, hey, my parents are in Reno. Welcome to my party.
Yeah.
That's the way you do it.
Yeah.
Party.
This is where Carl starts checking out Cory. So Mark, who had the BB gun earlier, is on a couch making out with Cory, and he's just standing there.
Carl's giving the creeper vibe
I was gonna
right
say,
there.
yeah, Carl, that is, is just standing there like a big old creep. And then he's smoking a cigarette or maybe a joint. I can't really tell.
Joint.
It just looks big and clunky.
yeah, it's the worst looking joint ever.
Yeah, and Mark's like, can I take a hit of that? But then Carl's a little mouthy and is very clearly like eyeing Cory. And this will come back and haunt him. Because he's like, cool, man. Like, you better not tell anyone, like, what I did with that BB gun, blah, blah, blah. And this is what I told Mike. I was like, I just thought he would leave him alone because of this. Like, do you guys not agree?
Yeah, he was eyeing that chick a little too much. That
Yeah.
just getting the creepy vibes
But
were
dude,
too much for him.
Yeah, but there's like school PTA conferences happening about this dude's criminal
Yeah.
activities. I probably wouldn't like be like, the kid that straight up saw me do this, I'm going to mess with him a little more.
That's
Paul,
true.
the PTA is disbanded.
PTA is not disbanded.
Okay.
What have you got? Nope.
Brilliant.
That was
Brilliant.
exactly what I wanted for the PTA.
Bummer,
disbanded.
man.
Yeah, so Carl is just not into it. He's pretty pissed off that he didn't like that talking to by Matt. And he tells Richie, he's like, hey, man, I'm going to bounce. And Richie's kind of making out with the girl. He's like, what? He's like, nah, I'm just going to leave. So, yeah, he goes home, and he gets jumped by Mark and Mark's little crony. They really beat
They beat the fuck
shit
out
out of
of
him.
it.
The BB
Yeah.
gun boys.
Yeah, and take his money. And then he gets home, and Carl's dad is talking to Jerry, and they're all like, yeah, man, like this place is great, but these kids are bad, but your kid's so good. I mean, you should feel so good that Carl's so awesome. And Carl comes in, and he looks like he just got out of a boxing match. And his mom freaks out, and his mom's like, here's $5.
Then she kisses
Here's
him right on the
$5
fucking
for your
mouth.
beating.
That disturbed you, didn't it?
It really did. I don't know why. Was that not weird for anyone else?
Yeah.
It is. I've never understood. I don't know. I'm not a parent that kisses the kids on the mouth. I just don't do it.
I
Never have.
I mean, I've not seen that. That's weird for me.
Yeah, I give my daughter a lot of head kisses.
Yeah, I mean, a head kiss is reasonable. I don't know. I mean, I don't have children, but
yeah.
it would seem weird.
Listen, Mike, when's the next time you're going to see your mom?
I don't know.
There you go.
Well, the next time you see your mom, French her for all of us.
Okay, perfect.
Like
I'll
I'm
see what I
trying
can
something
do.
here, Mom.
Yeah, we try this on for size.
For the family.
Yeah,
For Richie.
yeah.
Tell her it's for Richie.
She'll know what it means.
Yeah. Give her a smooth Richie.
It's come back. No, that was a smooth
The
France.
smooth Francis never left.
Okay.
Yeah, for Mike and his mom, it's a smooth Richie.
Oh boy.
A smooth
We're knee
Richie.
deep in smoothness.
You gotta be smooth. Oh boy! So the cops decide they're gonna bust up the rec center. Gotta close it.
Yep.
I believe it's Julia who runs the rec center.
Yeah, Julia
Loose.
seems okay.
Yeah,
she
pretty
doesn't give a
loose.
fuck about whatever's going on.
She's probably selling the weed to all these kids.
Probably,
You know
yeah.
what? Yeah.
I mean, there is a shout out to Julia at the end where like a kid is like helping her out a little
Yeah.
bit because everyone kind of
'Cause
loves
everyone-
Julia.
yeah, she's pretty
I mean, yeah, the first time we ever see the rec center, she's like, "Come on, put those beers away." I was like, "Whoa."
Oh yeah. Well, the guy was just taking a beer break.
Yeah, well.
Put those beers away and take a hit of this.
Hey.
So, what was his name? Jerry. Yeah. He wants the rec center closed because the Texans are coming in.
And they want to have a dance party like in Footloose.
Yeah.
And they're just a Christian gang who does not want these teens to dance.
No. Yeah. Yeah. John Lithgow just doesn't want that.
That's a better movie.
Right? That's when I'm going to
Yeah,
that's when I'm
is.
going to tell Chris Penn, I'm going to challenge you to a chicken race on a tractor.
Oh shit!
And then you're going to find out who's loose.
Oh,
You're
shit.
loose.
Real loose.
Dang. Yeah. So Officer Doberman shuts down the rec center. No one is happy about this.
Oh yes.
Does it come in like a Doberman? Woof woof.
Yeah. Yes.
It would have been a different kind of movie.
It would have been. I cannot read anything that I've written down here.
Well, we're shutting down the rec center, and
Yeah,
that just
yeah.
leads to 2 girls and a handgun. So Cory and her unnamed friend have been.
Yeah, did they break into a house
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
steal like drugs and a gun?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just
As-
going
as you do.
fucking 0 to felony. Like
Yeah.
immediately.
Oh yeah.
Well, they're poor kids.
Yeah.
So at first.
Kids will be kids.
Yeah, so at first I thought these girls were going into like unfinished or model homes and maybe taking like some odds and ends, like whatever it might be. I really didn't know, like soaps or weird things, which would kind of make more sense. They're just not doing that. Half this, like the housing development is just not up and active. So that's why I thought that. They're just going straight up into houses and stealing. So they have a handgun and drugs.
Yeah.
They're just carrying it around in a plastic bag.
Yeah.
Well, the one
like a
girl,
shopping
the one
center
girl's
bag.
like doing it so openly. She's like, so
That's true.
imagine a blue like shopping bag or like a bag you would get at, like 7-Eleven, and she's holding it with one hand. It's blowing open. Richie keeps trying
It's
to look
obviously
in.
a gun.
Yeah, I mean, or like, yeah, there's some heft to it. Like, it's super bizarre. And then Richie takes it and becomes master of the gun.
Master of the gun.
He is now the gunslinger.
That was Mike's favorite part. In Mike's head, like it was like a role playing game chime. Like Link just like discovered an item. It was like bum 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 bum. Master of the gun. That was Richie.
Yeah. It's dangerous to go alone.
It is.
Okay. Take this trash bag gun.
Take this, Richie.
They all seem happy to have that gun as they.
Well, it's a gun.
Juggle it.
Who wouldn't want a
It's a
gun?
little
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
You take your gun, you shuffle off to an unfinished condo.
Yeah, they have like a little clubhouse that they're squatting in some unfinished house.
Yeah, they're like, let me show you your condo. Mm-hmm. And then they go there, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
So-
I felt like we did that as kids. Like we went into like homes that were under construction and like
Developer
explored them.
houses.
That is something that I would do.
I same, but I wouldn't like vandalize
No.
them or steal people's
No,
possessions.
No,
I would, yeah.
like I feel like Jeremy and I probably did this because we were often in such like the middle of development. Yeah, and I think parents probably kind of looked the other way because again we weren't doing anything.
Right. If like the worst you're doing is leaving some like fucking ho-ho wrappers around.
I think the worst was like muddy footprint on like 4x4,
Right.
accidentally.
Yeah. They did make a comment that it's been sitting there for a while, and they don't think that anyone's ever going to develop it again.
Well, I think
So
the
don't know.
development is kind of out of money. That's why they need the Texans to come in and put
Yeah.
in their shopping mall or whatever the fuck they were going to do.
So there's a reasoning.
Yeah,
yeah, so
behind it
people
being
actually
less
start moving there.
hassle. There you go.
Well, in the scene that we see, Carl sees a bunch of these businessmen talking to his dad, and again, there's this illusion that suburbia is going to be sprawling even more. These kids really aren't for it. There's
Why wouldn't they be?
absolutely even the dad's like, we need more people to move here, and it can't just be for the bowling alley. Like he says that pretty much verbatim. I'm like, all right, I get it.
I mean, the big text scrawl at the beginning of the movie is like, they built cities with no kid provisions or whatever. And now they're like, hey, what if we built like a mall for you to hang out of? They're like, fuck you, Dad.
It's like the kid in The Simpsons.
The kids in this movie are fucking the worst.
Oh,
they
God, they're
really
all
are.
fucking awful.
Do you want this?
I
Do you want
want
this
to beat them.
Do you want this game, honey? I already have that one, you stupid idiot.
Yeah, like, fucking Christ.
Well, they get back at this because, Carl then booby traps, I assume, or gets the word out to booby trap Jerry's car with fireworks. So when the businessmen get back into his car, I guess the next morning they were all staying at his house. That's weird.
Yeah.
The car basically explodes under and in the hood because fireworks are rigged every which way. And then the potential business or landowners are like, you tried to move out here to protect your kids, but your kids are running business, a-hole. And they just leave. And one guy in the cab,
they should.
one guy in the cab was like, you really told him that was good. And the guy goes, I did. Yeah, he's like, I did. And they drive off. And I was like, oh, man.
Well, I mean,
And that's the last you see of those guys.
this I thought was actually a pretty reasonable thing because Paul, like you're right. He's like, you were so worried about getting your kids out of the city that like you've let them create the problems of the city here, and he's right. Like,
Right.
if you wanted your kids to be in a safer space, you should teach them to not be little fucking pricks.
Yeah.
Because now they're running the show.
Yeah.
Because they don't have an ice rink, Mike.
Is that what it is?
All it took was one ice rink.
God
I thought it
all
was
the
a vending
problems we
machine.
can fix with the ice rink.
I thought it would be a vending
Just
machine.
needed a skate
They
park.
had vending machines in the fucking airplane hangar.
Well, when Jeremy and I were in school, I remember those were like always like the platforms people would run on president campaigns.
Yeah,
like,
the
I
vending
promise.
machines,
Yeah,
like,
I will
I
get.
don't think I ever bought something.
I will get a vending machine in the school cafeteria.
Cigarette
And I was
vending
"Woo!"
machine.
Yeah, no.
Hey, you should put a vending machine up your ass.
That's what you say when you really want to get elected.
Now we get the drop on random kid Tip. We're at
Fucking Tip,
We're
yeah.
at Tip's house.
Who's Tip?
Tip is the one who told Doberman where he has been buying hash. He's like, come on, man, I had to tell him. And so they dump his ass into a pond
That's a small man-made pond.
and wave around a handgun. And all these women playing tennis on the tennis courts are like, oh my God. And I screw you, old broad.
So they pretend to shoot Tip and light off a firecracker.
Yeah, so these women think a child has been shot.
Right.
So
Best prank in the world.
That was just the tip.
Yeah.
Again,
Just the
excellent
tip.
kids.
I just
They're
wanted to
just
get that one in. I'm
misunderstood.
sorry.
Yeah.
They put the tip in the pond.
There you go.
Ooh.
Well, the tip was too dry. You got to get it a little wet.
Yeah, and now we're back to Carl's house, and Dad is like very frustrated. All these people have left. He just really doesn't know what to do.
He's like, damn it, Coral. He slaps the shit out of him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's not fun.
No, well, Coral had it coming.
Yeah, you get a little argument going between father and son. The father just has to lay down the law.
Yeah, someone's got to.
Yeah.
And Carl went crying off to his room.
Yeah, and then in a very quick like series of events, like Richie basically just gets his mom's car keys and he's like, "We're gonna leave."
We're running away.
I fuck
Yeah,
it.
I don't like. I felt like I wrote a note and I looked up and I was like, "That really
they're
just
just
amped
leaving,
up."
yeah.
Like,
No, they don't fucking care.
okay. So yeah, Carl's like, "Whoa, we're running away," and I wrote, "I don't know why."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's because adults are fucking bummers, man.
Yeah. Harsh
You know-
in my vibe.
They're
You know-
yeah, they're harsh in my buzz,
You know
dude.
what? You know what these kids need? They need some Chornor as a father figure. They need Chornor.
They do.
Chornor would not tolerate any of this right off the bat. Just
He'd be
slapping
like-
down all the way.
He'd be like, "Look at my ginger beard here grow. Look at it, Carl. Look at it. It just slapped you in the face, Carl."
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Every time I hear Carl, I think of Rick
Walking
and
Dead.
The
Walking
That-
Dead.
yeah, that- the whole
Oh,
time.
God, yeah.
Carl.
Oh, damn it, Coral.
Carl, I got a cramp.
That show is quite unfortunate.
These zombies are fucking with us, Carl.
I was laughing at something Jeremy said. It was from Firewalker. It was they park their Jeep and there's like this big crocodile and Jeremy's like, "Get!" Just get.
Yeah,
And it does.
that was good.
And it did.
It did get, yeah.
See, that's Chornor's power, and
Yeah.
that's what these kids need. And they wouldn't go over the edge, like bubbling water. It would be tepid, and it would stay below the edge, well below. Someone might be like, "I need to fill this up a little more because it's that below the edge." And Chornor would just look at me and go,
Chornor approves.
"They'll do, kid." says Chornor.
Yeah. Chornor does say that.
Yeah, so they drive off, and they're like, "We only got this old stuff," and they're listening to "Come On" by Jimi Hendrix.
They find a joint in the ashtray,
Yeah, so they're smoking a joint,
Yeah.
listening to Jimi Hendrix.
brandishing a firearm.
And as noted, and I had to correct Mike once, Mike was like, "Is there only one cop in this town?" I was like, "There are two." We at one point in time saw like the other guy that was with
bald guy.
Yeah. But then like we never really see that guy.
I think there was a third one at the end.
Two police officers.
There's
for
like I feel
15,000
like
people.
I feel at the end like other people are called in from another town.
Well,
It's
not
kinda-
those guys, but when they show up to the school, I think there were three of them.
Yeah. Well.
You know, I mean, it doesn't fucking matter. But
Well, again, Chornor, we need one, not three.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so these kids are just like doing nonsense, and Doberman is right there because he is the omnipresent cop who has low-jacked these kids' lives.
right.
And he is on them at all points in time, and then starts going after them. Richie goes off-road, which is, I
Dude,
guess...
that Bronco, was that a Bronco?
It was, yeah.
That thing should have evaded the police immediately.
Well, that's what I was
But
going
it
to say.
was
Like,
being driven by a
capability.
moron.
yeah, I was like, that's my hesitation. I was like, he goes off road, which I guess is a good plan for a moment, and then immediately just flips over.
Yeah,
the
he
side
hit
of
a
the rock.
ramp and then he
Yeah.
rolled it. Just rolled right out.
Well, I feel like you could have. It was like Austin Powers. Like that rock that he flips over was like 100 feet away. Like you could have gone in any direction except for that one, and you did not.
He hit the
aimed right
one
for
rock
it.
in Greeley.
Right, and then flips over.
Yeah.
And then they both run out.
They split up.
Yeah.
Because they can't catch both of us.
Yeah. So they start bolting, and Doberman goes after Richie.
yeah.
And Richie pulls out the gun, and you don't fully graphically see this, but Doberman clearly shoots him. He pulls out a gun, and I mean, from the angle we see and all throughout the movie,
It was horribly filmed.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but it looks
Horribly filmed.
it looks like Richie pulls out a gun, and this police officer reacts, and this is shitty.
Perfectly reasonable thing, though.
Right.
That's
I
true.
mean, so then,
Carl runs
yeah,
off.
Carl
Coral
runs
runs
off.
away.
Coral.
He goes to hang out at their little condo.
Yeah, and then Cory comes
with
up.
Cory, the fucking gypsy of the road, shows up.
Yeah, so Cory
Buy my
shows.
wares.
Cory shows up, and she's like, "I got the sleeping bag." She's like, and he's like, "Oh, what took so long?" She's like, "Well, my dad was really suspicious." I'm like, a 14-year-old kid was just shot in
Your
your
peer
neighborhood.
was killed.
Right. Like, and again, this would be the shocking part. 1979, your neighborhood, a kid you know was killed. Yeah, my parents would probably be upset and alarmed and probably like, you're not going out. And remember, there's a curfew. And oh my God, like 900 other things.
Don't be such a drag, Dad. I'm the gypsy of the road.
But she is the gypsy.
What did Fred Savage call his dad in that movie?
Bitch ass.
No, I can't
What?
remember.
Oh,
And vice versa?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know.
My
I can't
memory's
either.
not that good.
I don't remember like an actual just like name that he uses.
He said it a couple times about his dad.
I don't know. We're gonna have to,
fuck
well,
it.
it looks like you're gonna have to go back and listen to Vice Versa. Classic
Yeah.
episode of Rabbit Troop 6. Yeah. Well, they come up with a plan, and here's the plan. Carl's like, I'm gonna sneak into my house and steal my mom's money when she's not home, and then I'm
plan.
getting out of here. And Cory's like, okay. And I don't know if any of you guys remember this, but their little, the reference I'll make, I don't know if any of you have ever seen this, but Cory leaves, and you kind of see like the sun's rising, and the place they're staying in, this makeshift condo, is just a piece of crap. And it looks like the REM video for It's the End of the World as We Know It, and I Feel Fine, if anyone's ever seen this.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, like a total trashed place.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so
He does. Good
yeah.
call.
So they leave. Then we see, there's a couple quick cuts. We see a teacher at a school, and she is like, we're going to have a discussion later, and the parents are going to be here, and we're going to talk about the problem with you people. Like, that's verbatim the word. And I'm like, or the wording. I'm like, that's probably going to piss those kids off. So, like, there are a couple of relatable moments. Like, I'd be not happy if that's how we were being talked to. Especially, like, half these kids here are like, I don't know any of these other kids. Why am I here?
Right.
That'd be me and Jeremy, like, in the corner. Like, you're not going anywhere. I'd be like, I haven't done anything. Like, and you won't. And I'd be like, now
Like,
you're...
let's get out of here.
Yeah, I'd be like, now you're making me angry.
That's true.
Yeah, so Carl goes home and he gets some money. His mom and dad are on the phone, and like an idiot, he picks up. He's like, you don't know nothing. And his dad's like, get him.
Shut up, Coral.
And so the mom runs upstairs and he just honestly jumps out a window.
Yeah.
Like that's the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
And then Carl goes back to the playground. I said we'd get back there. It's nightly parties, even though there's a curfew. Even though Officer Doberman knows everything and these parents pretty much know everything, they don't know where their kids are after curfew, and it's at the happening nightly playground party.
They don't know. It's the one place they only ever go.
Yeah.
Where could they be?
Where are they?
Except that one
Where are
house
they?
party.
Yep.
But there's only 2 places. I mean, check them both.
So now the rest of the movie is really just split. It's what are the kids doing? What are the parents doing? And the police. So the parents are
Well, the
basically...
kids are fucking going Ocean's 8 on this fucking ocean. You know? Like
Yeah.
they're coming up with a plot.
Yeah, the parents are at a PTA meeting with Jerry and the police officers, and they're like, we got to get these kids in control. Simultaneously, the kids are getting ultra riled up at the playground. As you do. Let's go to the playground, get riled up.
Yeah.
Jerry is making some speeches. This is kind of funny. Like, taking a side approach, Jerry might be, I don't know, the only reasonable person in this movie.
Correct.
Okay, so hear me. Yeah, so guys, hear me out. So at first I was like, all right, Jerry, are you the overbearing one? So Jerry's car is exploded with fireworks, and he's super pissed off about this. One,
It was a nice car.
Yeah, and no one's done anything about this, and the police are like, well, we're kind of looking into it. And he's like, dude, like, I know like one of 5 people it is, like, clearly. So they're not doing anything, and Jerry gets on the podium, and he's like, listen, we've got to get this under control. Like, are you not aware? I'm going to give you some statistics. Our town is like the worst in vandalism in the United States of America. Let me open with that and be like, what? He's like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's your shitty fucking kids.
like, I've been trying to tell you this, like, from the get-go. Like, your kids are running wild. Businesses won't open here. We are considered like a cesspool, and now we're basically going to live in a slum because no one will invest and we can't expand. So
Right.
here's the world we live in. I was like,
All true.
yeah, I was like, damn, Jerry.
Yeah,
Like,
Jerry's laying it out.
Yeah, Jerry's dropping truth bombs like I did not imagine. And he's saying it calmly. He's not yelling at people. And he's like using statistical information. I was like, Jerry, you're the most professional person in the room. I was like, holy crap. And the parents were like,
It's gold, Jerry.
yeah, and everyone else was like, I don't know about all that. He's like, a kid is dead.
Right.
Who was shot? Yeah, a kid was shot earlier today by that guy. He's here. He's gonna talk. He's gonna talk in a couple minutes.
The parents
Hey,
thought
Doberman.
the parents thought Jerry was pushing the agenda, where really he was just dropping truth bombs on
Yeah.
them. Like, this is,
oh, you saying that like property values are more important than our children? He's like, yes, it is. To me, your fucking kids are ruining everything.
Yeah, like in all seriousness, yeah, people are like chattering back, and they're like, you know, it's
In
like,
the meantime, these kids are fucking plotting the downfall. Like,
Right.
I mean, they're.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it is truly children of the corn, man.
yeah, the parents are like the safety, as Mike was saying, and Jerry's like, I get it, but like, dude, you're never gonna be able to sell your house, and now we live in like an uninhabitable, awful place. Like, we're screwed. Like, we can't sell this for anything, and no one is ever going to come and invest.
And it's your fault. All of your faults.
right. Like, I think Jerry should have joined the kids. This would have been the movie.
Did Jerry
Yeah.
have any kids?
No.
No, because Jerry's
Well, he's
smart.
the only smart one
Yeah.
in that fucking
Jerry
town.
should have gone with the kids and been like, hey, let's do it.
Yeah, you
Jerry
guys
had
are
a
right.
nice
These-
car and
these
didn't look
parents
tired
are
all the
fucking
time.
Morons.
Of course
Right.
he had a
He should have been like,
kids.
kids, you owe me. Go get me a cool car,
Right.
and I'm going to be your leader. Me and Julia, who run the rec center, are going to lead you to freedom. So, yeah, so the kids are outside, and they're taking all the bike chains and using them to lock all of the parents into this room, like the auditorium or wherever they're meeting with the microphones and so on. And so the kids do this, and then during some people talking, I think it's Jerry, they kind of look up, and Officer Doberman looks out the window, and Claude is flipping everyone off, and everyone's flipping everyone off. He's like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right.
Something's off.
So he looks out the window, and these kids are just going bananas. They were breaking every car window in the parking lot. You got to think, like, some of these parents are just nice and supportive. I would have been pissed. Like, I just came to
the
support
BB gun kids have upgraded to a full-fledged shotgun now.
Yeah, they crack open the cop car and they break open the trunk like it's guns for all. Shotguns, handguns, everyone's got a gun, bullets, everything. So now all the kids are shooting everything. They're throwing fireworks into the...
like the power transformers?
Yes. Yeah. So now the power's out. There's now trash fires, like a hobo shanty in the parking lot. Pure pandemonium. The parents are running.
Yeah.
We do get a nice scene with Julia. There is something, like, in all seriousness, I just did not get this. Mike pointed something out earlier. I think it's Claude's brother is Johnny. And Johnny, I believe, is deaf. And I just don't think that was ever really said.
No, he can hear.
He's mute.
He's
mute.
mute. Yeah.
He's mute, sorry. Yeah, and that was not really said to us.
Or he just doesn't like talking because he's a fucking dick like everyone else.
Very confusing.
With stupid sunglasses.
But yes, all these kids are running amok. That was just a side note that I remember because there was a call earlier, and he is unable to speak, and he's tapping on the phone, and we didn't really know what was happening. Or maybe I missed that with my notes. But yeah, all the kids are going crazy, and the parents just don't like it. And that's right.
Julia.
Yeah. Julia, and why I brought this up. Julia is kind of behind a locked cage of sorts, and all the kids love Julia. She runs the rec center, and she calls Johnny over, and he's just kind of dicking around on a skateboard. And she's like, "Can you hand me the phone?" And without hesitation, he does. She's like, "Can you dial 0?" And he does. And she's like, "Thank you so much." And she seems very sincere about everything. And
yeah, she called for help.
Yeah, I assume she calls the police and the next town over, probably all their police come, because they come immediately. Bolt cutters, everything. Doberman goes insane. He runs out and just
I'm taking your car. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, he just takes a random car and, like, chases some kids down. That does not go well.
No.
He gets cold.
Well, Coral is running down the middle of the road like a fucking jack-off rather than going anywhere else. So he's caught up to immediately.
The Carl way.
Yeah.
It's the Carl's Jr.
And then, all the kids get in a bus and go to wherever the fuck they're going.
Oh, no. We're missing a crucial scene.
Oh, are we?
So,
yeah, you missed it.
As Carl is now detained, Doberman gets Carl and handcuffs him in the back of the,
that's right. I
car.
forgot about this.
So he drives off, and Mark, they are now friends. We learn Mark, Mike likened him to Shrek, where he lives in a tent by the swamp and dirt bikes.
Fucking a swamp.
Yeah. So he's got a bike and a dirt bike, a tent, and he lives in a swamp. He's a cool dude because he's expelled right now. But Mark and him are friends, and
they made up.
Yeah, it's all okay. So
Coral shoots him with a BB gun. Mark's like, "You know what? You're all right, kid."
Yeah.
Congratulations.
But now we're in present time, and Carl is in the back of this cop car. So Mark shoots the cop car with a shotgun, and the car veers off into a barn. And
it was the rec center.
Oh, it was the rec center. That's right. I don't know. I was just.
It looked like a barn.
Yeah, it does look like a barn. The car starts to ignite on fire, and luckily Carl just goes to the front seat and realizes the handcuff keys are in the front pocket of Doberman. As he's leaving, I looked at Mike and Lamar and I was like, "Oh shit! Like, are you seriously gonna leave that guy?" I was like, "That is so cold-blooded."
Yeah, he's dead.
Oh yeah, he is left, and that rec center explodes. Doberman
He might have been dead before that.
Why?
That's true.
Because he got shotgunned in the face.
I think they shot the front of the car.
Well, his face was all bloody.
I think he hit the windshield.
Well, he wasn't looking great.
I think
he's dead now.
He's definitely dead.
I think he would have totally lived if he didn't explode.
That's possible.
But he did explode.
He definitely exploded.
Michael, what would you say about that?
Oh, he ain't getting up from that.
God, he is not. Yeah, he's gonna take a shitload of fucking. Oh wow! Aloe vera.
Yeah.
So break out the Ben Gay. Someone's gonna be sore in the morning.
Yeah. Doberman is super dead, and so thank God Carl has his keys. He's out, and so
thank God this piece of shit lived.
Yeah. So he's alive, and then basically everyone is going to prison. Sort of. They're going to the Hill, is what my guess is, for an undetermined time. They are clearly not being tried as adults for whatever they are being tried for.
They fucking should be.
But, there's a lot of people dead. And then Ooh Child plays, or things are gonna. What is the full song?
I think it is just
Ooh,
Ooh Child.
Is it Ooh Child? That doesn't seem right.
Yeah,
Ooh,
it's-
child. Yeah, Jeremy, sing it for
Gonna
us.
get easier.
Brighter.
It's from fucking Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
Well, that's playing.
yeah. The Gypsy
Yes.
of the Road and some other kids aren't going to juvie
Things are
for
gonna
some reason.
Things are gonna get
Why? Yeah,
better.
why?
Yeah, who knows?
I think they were the ones who weren't
Just
rounded
like
up in the
randomly
end.
selected kids, like you guys are going
well,
to
they're the
fucking
ones
hell
who
now.
just hit out.
Or they didn't
hit
get
better
caught.
than all
Yeah.
the other ones.
Yeah, so not everyone's going to the Hill or to this, like, I don't know, to juvie, essentially. And the bus drives off, but most of the kids are there. And Cory and says goodbye. Claude is over the overpass. Everyone's waving. And Carl smiles. It's good. He's probably going away for a few years. I hope that smile keeps him warm at night.
Yeah.
He led to the death of 2 people in this movie.
Yeah.
He's super fucking proud of it.
Hey, but when he comes back, his girl's going to be waiting for him. And I'm sure her parents are going to be
sure
thrilled
she
about
is.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. The girl
Hey.
that went around the entire movie without a bra, I don't think she's waiting for anybody.
Hey, mom, dad, my boyfriend's back for 2 years in juvie after the death of an officer and his friend. Great.
Yeah.
Let's have him over for pizza. It's like Domino's.
You saying the boyfriend's back and it's
Oh,
going
he's
to
in
be trouble?
Colorado. Hey now.
Hey now.
Let's go to Bojo's.
Yeah, I need some really fucking disgusting pizza.
Put some honey on that crust.
Oh, God.
Honey right up your ass.
Whoa. Well, before we unpack all of that ass honey, feel free to contact us at any point in time. RapidTroopSucksPodcast@gmail.com is our email. Feel free to write us if you have a movie recommendation, you want to talk movies, you want to talk shop, you want to talk trivia, or, as always, get those sultry sound clips isolated from the podcast on Mike's end.
Ass honey.
That's right. That could be a ringtone, Mike, just saying that.
Just Mike saying ass honey over and over.
Custom
Until
alarms.
somebody
yeah.
answer.
RapidTroopSucks.com could also be a place you would like to visit. Although it does house certain links to our more modern episodes, we are approaching 100, and feel free, as Mike would tell you, if you don't know what a podcast app is,
God damn.
reach out to a child, let that child explain it to you.
Do a little Googling maybe?
Yeah, get
Some meth.
Do
Yeah.
some meth? Yeah.
Yeah, hear the voices.
Just tell people to do some meth and reach out for children.
Yeah.
I don't know what's
That's
That's
all
what
the
this
night.
movie summed up in 2 words.
We're also on Instagram and Facebook, all your social media needs. And yeah. So what did everyone think of Over the Edge 1979? Mike, I'm going to start with you today.
Okay, yeah. This movie's ridiculous. Everyone in it sucks. It doesn't have a message. I don't know what to say about this movie.
Would you say ooh, child?
I would say, ooh, child. Ooh. This movie is so fucking stupid.
But I do want to get Mike like a shirt that is like, I've seen Over the Edge and I'm on the cop side or something like that. That's going to go down well. Jeremy, what did you think of Over the Edge?
Yeah, I did not really enjoy this movie all that much. And it kind of sucked worse for me because I had to watch it by myself.
It wasn't any
notes on
better
it.
with these guys. I'm going to tell you, it sucked. It sucked so hard.
But yeah, I mean, so I don't normally mind really bad movies because I think that they make like it more enjoyable. But this was like a serious
Yeah,
movie
I
that
agree.
was just production value was bad. The acting really wasn't there except for maybe a couple of people. And you really didn't care about any of the characters because the kids were the main focal point of this movie, and they were kind of pieces of shit.
Yeah.
And so you didn't care about anybody. So this movie was kind of pointless to me, but yeah, it was kind of chaos, I guess you could say.
I mean, this movie, I hate to say this, if it was more formulaic, I think it could have been better. I totally agree, Jeremy, that like you don't really care about the kids. So I feel if like we did care about Richie, like Richie came from a bad background, Richie's just trying to get by, and then Richie should have died in like the first 30 minutes of the movie. They should have really built him up and immediately taken him down. Then the rest of the movie should have been like kids being like, whoa,
Yeah.
like he's one of us, now we revolt. But like, yeah, as you and Mike are saying, like it's a bunch like Man, I don't buy the snacks I like. I'm gonna burn the school.
Also,
I'm like,
if anything
Like,
that
I
happened
can't
to
do
you-
acid in class. These fucking adults are assholes.
Right. If anything that had happened to these kids wasn't directly because these kids were fucking pieces of shit, the movie would have been way better. Like, give the kids something to rally against. But nothing that happens is bad. Like, everything that happens is because these kids fucking suck.
yeah,
And even as a kid, you should be able to see that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Lamar, what'd you think? Over the Edge.
I across the board, I think we all agree it sucked, and goes to what you were saying. If the kids were portrayed as better heroes to rally behind, it would have been a better movie. Villains not really defined. I think kind of that was the point of this movie, is just to put the audience in the frame of mind of whose side should we be on, or who is right. And at the end of the movie, you're supposed to think something like that, but I didn't get any of that, and the movie's just not well put together for that.
No.
Right.
Yeah,
like-
there wasn't a single thing these kids did that you could honestly get behind.
Well,
like,
I mean,
everything they
well-
did was just shitty.
Well, Mike asked the biggest question that I think like echoes throughout all of our critique is, who is the antagonist? And I think we're all agreeing there's not one. It's the imagination. And that's why, like earlier, I was like, I guess it's the cop or the system or the parents, but I'm like, not really. Like, outside of Richie, Doberman seems okay overall. Like,
He did nothing wrong.
Until
Right.
he started freaking out in the end. And
Well,
that
he was pretty... I would have freaked out a bit, too. at that.
I mean,
There's
yeah.
a- yeah.
Well, let's even give Doberman a bone. Where you're like, no one is listening to this guy the entirety of the movie, and it just gets
Yeah.
worse for him. So he's finally like, I'm just taking a car. I don't care anymore.
That's true.
Like, I'm almost like, yeah, like no one else believed you to begin with. But yeah, like his only real beef is with Richie, and he notes like this dude's here all the time. I'm bringing him in weekly. He's got a rap sheet. Like, holy crap, he's really nice to Carl to begin with. He's not intimidating. He's like, I'm just gonna call in your dad. Like, dude, just like try not to get in trouble.
He's nice to everyone who isn't actively committing crimes.
He's even aware. He alludes to like he knows some shady business goes on at the rec center, but like, if you could kind of keep it within reason, like I could look the other way. But like,
I know.
if kids are straight up dealing drugs, I have to come in. But like, a random kid out of beer, I don't think he would do anything. A kid selling acid every day and kids are like getting sick. Well, probably the authorities. Like, what the hell?
Exactly.
I don't know. Carl's dad seems like a dick. Like, I don't know. His mom seems really nice. So I don't know what the deal is there. Like, yeah, it's really bizarre. Again, my only real defense is, at the end of this movie, these kids have this huge uprising. A police officer is killed. A child is killed earlier. I really feel if someone saw this in the early 80s or in 79, this would have been extreme because this wasn't a horror movie. And apparently they kept like saying all throughout the movie, this is based on some kind of events that happened. They're very loose with that. But I think this would be alarming. That parents would see this. It could be alarming.
Sure.
Kids could see this and be like, yeah, like I get it. Because I've never seen anything. But, we're 45 years deep, not just in movies, but in reality. And we're like, a kid, like it's so sad to say, like, oh, a kid had an unloaded gun. Like, well, all right, that's Tuesday.
Yeah.
That should be.
Yeah, this it kind of felt a little like PSA after school special sort of vibes. And yeah, you're right, like in 1980, like, oh God, like, is this a possibility? Oh no. But I mean, I just don't know who it was supposed to appeal to.
Yeah.
Like, was it meant to freak everyone out? Was the intent to like, hey kids, you fucking suck, get your shit together?
Or was-
hey parents, like, maybe pay attention to your
Was
fucking
this a
kids from
public
time to time.
service?
Yeah, like it felt like that.
Trying to convince people to move to Mexico.
I just want to mention two other things before I ask you a question, Paul, about this movie. One thing I wanted to mention is this movie, never before have you seen so many combs in back pockets.
A lot of
Oh,
combs.
yeah.
that was a thing.
Keep that hair fresh.
Yeah.
And, the
Well,
second
they all
thing,
had really good hair.
the soundtrack just kicks ass.
Oh,
Seems
yeah.
great.
I own the soundtrack, which I told you guys was crazy. Like, I was very aware of the soundtrack, but had yet never seen the movie until now.
And Paul, because you are the Nirvana fan here and the Kurt Cobain fan here, how do you think this? Why do you think he said these things about this movie. How do you think this influenced him at all? Obviously, I don't think this movie influenced any like Nirvana songs or anything like that. But why do you think Kurt Cobain liked this movie so much?
Oh, like the psyche of Kurt Cobain. I think it's this. I think in many ways, Kurt Cobain, for me musically, was such a brilliant songwriter, especially just like in lyrical form. But in so many ways, Kurt Cobain like threw tantrums. Like Chris Novoselic noted it later in interviews. He just like didn't like people. He was kind of pissy in some areas. Kurt Cobain was a human being, so like he was not all saints, and he was real and got frustrated. And I think in his tantrum stages, I could see why this movie would appeal to him. Like, I'm just going to be throwing things and breaking things, and that would be a lot of fun, and there's no repercussions. I think there's a part of that. I mean, Kurt Cobain was known for breaking guitars, his amps, and various other things. I could see totally that. I could also see, like, in his last maybe year of life, a lot of what he wrote about, or when he was interviewed, I don't think he really felt that. So I wonder where that quote came from. Although I read that quote like, yeah, it was really cool. It's total anarchy. It defined my personality. That seems like, if I had to make a guess, a very young Kurt Cobain saying that. And later, I do not think that's who he was. And I think that was just kind of like his performance side.
Realistically, sadly, there never really was anything other than a pretty young Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
Especially,
absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
considering all of our ages now.
Yeah. I think that was just like his performance side coming out, like
Okay.
I like to break things, I like to do stuff. I think he was more introverted when he was not doing stuff. But yeah, I would see his other movie, Paris, Texas. That apparently is his favorite movie. I've never seen it. This movie, I am happy I watched this movie because of that Kurt Cobain Nirvana connection. And I think a lot of, punk bands have referenced this, and the soundtrack's, killer. Everyone agrees, like, a lot of fun, like Half Cheap Trick, Cars, Jimi Hendrix, lot of fun. I'm very glad I saw this movie. I will probably never watch this movie again for the rest of my life.
There you go.
And so, as someone who likes film and really likes to learn about them, that part of me is totally satisfied. So if you want to watch that film for those reasons, I think it's totally worth one viewing. And if not, I would not recommend this film.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that this movie didn't live up, but it's not terrible. You're not going to vomit upon watching it.
I almost did.
But Lamar, it's almost just not surprising. Like, 45 years later, we're watching like Rebellious Teens. And again, like, what if we watched a movie 45 years, like, or how about this? What if we just even went 20 years back? I still think it would be somewhat tame to what we see now. And then like 40 years from now, people are going to look at our movies and be like, only 55 people died.
Right.
It's going to be so like sick and awful.
Yes, sir. We do have a lot of crap like that now.
Yeah. We'll be watching this as we're huddled around the campfire in our nuclear hellscape that we're going to be living in.
It's going to be that bubble school that I want to buy in Greeley. I told you, like the biodome.
Well, we know how to get in. Just go to the roof and pop up the top.
If we get flooded, if there's an Arctic invasion of sorts, like, I think we're covered in that school.
Yeah, we got it all in there.
And then you could just pop your head out of those little dome ceilings. That's all I've ever wanted to do.
Does that school still exist? Is that building still there?
I have no idea, to be honest with you.
We should take a field trip.
Yeah.
I don't wanna
Rabbit
go
Trip
to
Sucks
Greeley.
field trip.
Next week.
Oh, God, no.
Or Lamar's out. Lamar's already out. Jeremy, we'll talk about it off air. I was going to ask Jeremy all the things that he wanted to do, but yeah, kind of a bummer, but I hope you had fun listening to this episode. Again, as a completionist of things in my life, again, really happy I saw this movie, not happy about the results of the movie, but interesting enough that for me it was worth one watch. Next week, we're going to come at you with a very obscure Disney movie, A Far Off Place, based off of two books that I'll talk about. Two that I own, I have not read. It's kind of a lifelong plan for me to read these books at some point in time. The inspiration is this movie, A Far Off Place from 1993. This is not a movie streaming on Disney. It's a movie I actually had to get on DVD. But yeah, we'll talk about it. Jeremy will be in the studio. And hopefully no one goes, "It's me, Bodie," because then we know what happens.
Bodie won't be here. Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Jeremy is going to find out what happens.
yeah.
Well,
A real life Jeremy.
oh boy. As always, Rabbit Troop size.
Rabbit troop size.
Chunk.